Okay, we are streaming to YouTube. Ready when you are, Mayor McClure.
I'll call this meeting of the Seward City Council to order. It is Monday, February 9th, 2026, 7 p.m. Mr. Chief, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for tonight's meeting. Calhoun is excused. Osenga? Here. Warner?
Here.
Draper?
Here.
Barnwell? Here. Kreitz?
Here.
And Mayor McClure.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay. We have no proclamations and awards, so we'll go right to citizen comments. This is on any subject other than items scheduled for public hearing. We have no public hearing items tonight. There's a sign-up sheet for this, and we'll call on the people that signed up first, and then if there's time within the 36-minute total time, I'll take shows of hands, and you'll have 3 minutes. And when you come up to the seat with the microphone there, we need your name, and if you live inside or outside the city limits. So, Mr. Clerk, who's signed up?
We have 12 people signed in to speak, and first on the list is Greg Haas.
Okay, Greg?
Good evening, my name is Greg Haas. I live outside the city limits. I'm here to speak in favor of the contract for the Chamber of Commerce. I want you to think about who represents the Chamber of Commerce. And physically right now we have 3 pretty amazing souls with a great president in all her years of growing a small business here in Seward. We've got a great vice president who I like to think has got more generations dedicated to Seward than I have years of being here. And we have an executive director who started with the city and has since moved over. We have a lot of folks with some trust, and they do a good job of looking out for the folks in Seward that have dreams of opening and running small businesses. We also have a great participation of nonprofits, folks who count on the relationship with small businesses to help them grow and provide their services to the city. I like to think about what we're all about at the Chamber, and we can quantify it. There's actually a unique fact when I started playing around with some statistics and some sales tax numbers, is that we actually collect $2 per Seward resident compared to Soldotna and Kenai in the sales tax revenue that they generate. And I think that connects back to what the Chamber does for a return on investment for what this contract can represent. It brings money above and beyond what the value of this contract is back into the city to fund other activities and other organizations that you all deem valuable. I have a chance in the next few weeks to teach a new class, a small business class here within the city. We had 42 applications, folks that want to start small businesses. And when you listen to people talk about supporting or maybe not supporting this contract, I want you to think about, are those folks with the wealth in town that maybe have grown beyond how the Chamber can influence them? But I can tell you for darn sure, the Chamber makes a big difference for the folks who are grassrooting their business, who are pulling up their bootstraps and trying to grow. And they don't know how to ask for help, and that's what the Chamber does. We'll wrap up with the how. How can we make a difference? And that's by supporting this contract. There are a lot of great things that I watch you all outsource, a lot of fantastic things that you all keep within the realm of City Council and the city business. By outsourcing the senior center, outsourcing the teen center, finding folks who are motivated and that can make that difference of taking the pressure off of you all. By outsourcing our direct marketing and the services that we support at the Chamber, that makes a difference for all those other services. It makes a difference for the families that show up here that want to find work and realize that they have some skills and abilities to start their own business, because that's really what Seward is. Maybe folks work for the city for a little bit and then start a little business. One very important thing to wrap up though is the value of a multiple year contract. We've gone the last few years of year to year. The inefficiency that generates for both of us is pretty cumbersome. So I please encourage you to support the Chamber, support our contract, and support the good work we do for everybody in Seward. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Greg. Mr. Clerk, who's next?
Darian Draper.
Hi, I'm Darian Draper, lifelong Seward resident. I put in an application to be on the PACAB committee, and just as a lifelong Seward resident, former commercial fisherman, small business owner, and sports and recreation enthusiast, I've got a lot of interest in the PACAB committee, so I just wanted to say that I do have a special interest in the heat pumps that they've been talking about, and but that's not the only thing that has drawn me to the PACAB. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Darian. Mr. Clerk.
Rhonda Hubbard.
Good evening. I want to tell you, first of all, that I was...
Rhonda,
I'm sorry, Rhonda Hubbard, inside city limits. Took it for granted you all knew me. For the record, yes. And I just wanted to admit that I was the person that posted on Seward announcements the chamber contract, or parts of it, and on the Facebook page, and I just wanted to kind of get a feel for where people were at, because I don't think that we've been hearing enough from the public about how they feel about this contract. And it did spur a lot of, it proved a few things to me. It did spur a lot of inquiries and concerns about the chamber contract as presented and proposed. There were great questions that came forward that needed clarifying. And there was some new ideas on the overall chamber's value, its model, and its purpose, to the point where even the director chimed in, and the president, which was appreciative. But I also learned that, of course, as we all know, social media isn't the most ideal way to flesh out some of these issues and messages. So I got to visit with them, and they invited a meeting, and so it was I really appreciate that for them giving me the time to come in and talk to them this morning. But so in direct reference to this resolution and the contract proposal with the city, I first want to preface that this is not about the quality of the board or the staff of the chamber. It's not about the people as much as it's about the model of who the chamber is and what it's becoming, and how the city wants to interact with them, and especially in light of this particular contract. And I would urge the council to direct administration to rethink the contract request for especially the destination marketing piece. In today's tech world, a lot of those pieces are not as is necessary, and it's obvious to me that Seward Chamber, ironically, has accomplished this goal in a very good way. We know that people are coming here. I always say that Seward is oversold, and I just think it's time that we pull back on this piece. It's no longer aligns even with the comprehensive plan, and it's more about visitor management than attracting more visitors, right? So I think it's better that we think through the visitor management services as well. A lot of that, those funds are encouraged. Oh shoot, I'm losing time. I better wrap this up. But on the cruise ship components, so and so I just think that that's something that maybe the cruise ships should be paying for themselves.
Okay, thank you.
So anyway, thank you for that.
Mr. Clerk, who's next?
Liz Marsh.
Hi, my name is Liz Marsh, and I'm the Communications Coordinator at the Chamber, and I live within city limits. I wanted to let everyone know about a couple of exciting Chamber events happening in Seward this month. For your reference, I have the flyers available outside on the bulletin board. First off, we have a winter weekend, this coming weekend, the 13th through the 15th, where several local businesses will have some sweet Valentine-themed specials, live music performances, and deals on tours and hotel rooms. A big thank you to all of the businesses that participate in winter weekends and keep the fun going all year round here in Seward. If you'd like to see the full list of businesses and their specials, please visit either our Facebook page at Seward Chamber of Commerce or our Instagram at Seward Chamber. I also wrote a Valentine's weekend itinerary that plans the whole weekend out for you that you can check out under our blog page at Seward.com. Next, we have an enriching chamber luncheon planned for February 12th at noon at the Breeze Inn, where Brianna Murphy of Alutiiq Pride will be presenting on all things mariculture related throughout the Kenai Peninsula and coastal Alaska. This luncheon presentation will highlight shellfish and seaweed farming projects currently underway on the Kenai Peninsula and how communities are engaging through research, workforce development, and industry partnerships. Learn how this work is being supported through the Build Back Better Regional Challenge Grant and what it could mean for the future of Alaska's working waterfronts and blue economy. Lunch will be available for $15 and all are welcome to come and join. Now, on behalf of the Alaska Railroad, I'm going to read a letter of support by Christy Terry. Dear Council members, the Alaska Railroad Corporation is a proud supporter and member of the Seward Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center. As a corporate member of chambers along the rail belt, these organizations are critical in promoting shared economic vitality and community well-being. The Chamber's work in visitor services, tourism promotion, bringing up freight and military vessels into the port and broader economic development provides great partnerships with creating living wage jobs as well as small business and industry growth, supporting both ARRC and the community of Seward. We look forward to continuing our collaboration with the Chamber and support Seward's focus on sustainable economic development. Christy Terry. I'm always, and that was the end. I'm always more than happy to connect with community and chamber members on communication-related questions and topics, so please always feel free to reach out to me, and I would love to talk. You can find my info on the chamber staff page on Seward.com. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great evening.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Stephanie Mullane.
My name's Stephanie Mullane, and I live outside city limits, and just a full disclaimer, I am the Seward Chamber of Commerce president at this time. And I do want to thank the people who have reached out to us to have a conversation. We did speak with Rhonda this morning, and it was really great to hear another perspective from somebody in the community. And to put it out there to the folks who might be communicating through social media or other avenues, that our doors are open. We want to hear your perspectives. We want to know what the community is interested in having the direction of the chamber go, or the direction and some of those things. And so please reach out to us. But I do want to speak on behalf of the Chamber and our service contract between the city and the Chamber of Commerce, because I believe it plays a real practical role in Seward's future. Seward is on the edge of significant growth, and we're seeing new housing developments, Coast Guard expansion, a cruise ship dock that will bring in larger vessels, and a new freight dock is on the horizon. These are big changes. They bring opportunity, but they also bring pressure. How we manage the growth matters as much as the growth itself. That's why the collaboration between the city and the Chamber's destination management arm is so important. I appreciate that the city has long fostered this partnership, working together to help guide visitation and economic activity in a way that fits Seward, not just reacting to problems when they show up, but working ahead so our community stays livable and balanced. Visitation in Seward isn't just summer tourists, it's Alaskans coming for winter school tournaments, it's families visiting friends and family, it's friends and relatives, it's people bringing down their boats to fish and camp. That activity touches everything, our stores, our mechanics, our healthcare providers, our city's infrastructure, and our trails and recreation areas. When visitation is well managed, it supports the entire local economy, not just one sector. This also matters for jobs. The services provided through this agreement help support year-round employment and business stability. That means more consistency for the residents and the businesses of Seward. A long-term contract gives the community both steps towards economic stability and long-term accountability, ensuring that the services provided match Seward's evolving needs year after year. As Seward grows, the city needs partners that can grow with it. Partners who understand this place, listen to businesses and residents, and help ensure growth doesn't outpace our ability to handle it. As we look into the future, we must remember that growth isn't just about the numbers of dollars or the numbers or dollars, it's about people. When visitors come to Seward, they don't just leave with memories, they have a real impact on the families who run our shops, work our counters, fix our boats and vehicles, and provide essential services. When that impact is managed well, it strengthens our economy across all seasons and helps build long-term stability. Steward's strength is in balance between opportunity and preservation when welcoming people and protecting what makes this place special and protecting what makes this place special. And this agreement is a commitment to creating balance.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Amanda Sweeting.
Amanda Sweeting, outside city limits. I'm the executive director at the Chamber of Commerce, as you guys all know. I'm actually reading a letter on behalf of someone who couldn't make it. He's a dad of a newborn and a very raucous toddler. So I will go ahead. This is for Kayak Adventures Worldwide. Dear members of the City Council, I'm writing to express my full and heartfelt support for renewing the city's contract with the Seward Chamber of Commerce Conference and Visitors Bureau. I experienced the value of the Chamber in many roles. As a business owner, the Chamber has consistently had my back, advocating for local businesses, amplifying our voices, and helping us reach visitors in a way we simply could not do on our own. As a year-round resident, I see the Chamber working to strengthen as a community, not just as a destination. And as a father, I deeply appreciate that the Chamber cares about the long-term health of our town, supporting community events, local causes, and building the kind of place where families can grow and thrive. Every successful tourism community has a strong, effective chamber, and Seward is no exception. The CVB has been incredibly successful in encouraging visitors to come here and engage thoughtfully with our town. Across my businesses, lodging, guiding, and the Seward Farmers Market, we regularly hear from visitors who found us through the Chamber, were referred to us by the Chamber, or were inspired to reach out because of the Chamber-led marketing and outreach. That impact is real, measurable, and ongoing. What I value the most is that the Chamber supports all businesses and people in Seward, not just the largest operators, but also the small, locally owned mom-and-pop businesses that give our town its character. Many of these businesses would not have the same visibility or reach without the Seward Chamber, and their success directly contributes to a diverse and resilient local economy. Diversity in this town and our businesses truly matters. From the city's perspective, the Chamber is an effective and strategic partner. The Chamber helps drive visitor spending, which supports local tax revenue and reduces the burden on residential taxpayers. The work attracts visitors while also helping manage expectations, educating guests about responsible travel, local values, and respecting our community and natural resources. This aligns directly with the city's interests in sustainable tourism and long-term economic stability. Just as importantly, the Chamber helps set a shared vision for what we want Seward to be, a place where tourism is one part of a thriving year-round economy where people can raise kids, work meaningful jobs, play outside, and feel proud of the place they call home. That vision benefits residents, businesses, and the city alike. Renewing this contract is not just an investment in tourism, it's an investment in community, vitality, economic resilience, and the future of Seward. I'm deeply grateful for the work at the Chamber and strongly encourage the City Council to continue this important partnership. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and your continued commitment to Seward. With gratitude and support, the Kayak Adventures Worldwide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Christiana Smith.
My name is Christiana Smith. I live outside city limits. I've heard a lot of support for the Seward Chamber of Commerce with tourism. I want to give a different perspective. I support the contract for the Chamber of Commerce with the increase in revenue or expenditure. As an end user of the Seward Chamber of Commerce, they're not just here for the businesses, they're here for the people who are moving here or looking to live here. When I moved here a little over 13 years ago, before I even stepped foot in Seward, I went to the Seward.com website. You Google Seward, that's one of the first listings you're going to get. It provided me with information and links to pertinent information that I needed to understand what living in Seward would be like. When I got here, it was one of my first places that I stopped. There was a number of questions that I had, from where can I seek after school care for a first grader. and as well as, is there anywhere in town that can hem my pants for the job that I'm going to be starting in 2 weeks? And so the visitor center is not just for those who are visiting temporarily, it's for those who are moving here too. As over the last 7 years, working for a nonprofit organization that is a member of the Chamber of Commerce, I've seen the Chamber of Commerce grow in capacity, not just for tourism, but for the city of Seward. They have a number of committees. One newest development is the destination stewardship that's looking at things that were talked about in the work session before this meeting with PACAB on how to communicate expectations of visitors to Seward, looking at the increase of visitor traffic to Seward. A handful of years ago, not only do they have the destination guide, but they have the hometown guide, which again is for those who are going to be living here anywhere from just the summer to longer term. So I see, as a citizen of Seward, I see the chamber not just for tourism or temporary visitors to Seward, but I see it as a utility for the citizens of Seward.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Russ White.
Russ White, inside city limits. I'm here on behalf of Sports and Rec Department within Parks and Rec, and want to let you guys know what's going on there. Again, you might hear some repeats, but I like to get the word out a lot. So, this Friday we have a Build Bouquet coming, and that's a chance for you to come and build your own bouquet with flowers that we're getting from a wholesaler in Anchorage. It's going to be from 4 to 7:30, and the bouquets will cost $30. The next night for Valentine's Day, we'll have a date night / kids night. So if you're looking to go out on a date, you can drop your kids off at Avtech for $10 a kid, and we'll watch them from 5 to 7:30. Later on this month, with the hope of good weather, we're trying to do the Grizzly Glide ski race. We always say that one wrong. That will be out at Bear Lake on Sunday the 22nd at 12 p.m. And we will have 3 different categories. You can race in classic skiing, skate skiing, or dog skijoring. That's $15 to sign up, and you can go to SewardParksandRecreation.com to sign up. Later on next month, we're looking for participants for our St. Patrick's Day Parade. I've heard in the past it was quite a bit bigger than what it is the last few years. So if you are interested and want to decorate your car or come and bike in it, it's free to come down. We are thinking about offering a prize for the most decorated person or car or bike out there. Just looking to make it more festive. We'll meet down by the harbor by Kenai Fjords Tours parking lot there, and that will be at 4:30 p.m. on St. Patrick's Day. And then I just wanted to talk about our race season again. That's coming up soon in April and May. We have the Pink Cheeks Triathlon and Exit Glacier, the first Saturday and the third Saturday in May. And if you do an early sign-up, we have t-shirts for you. The sign-ups are due by before April. If you want a t-shirt, you can still sign up after that. But yeah, we got some nice designs, really good designers within our team. So check that out. If you like the t-shirt, sign up beforehand and come. We're trying to make the event a little bigger than the last few years too. And the last thing is the Tony's Volleyball Tournament is go for this year. We'll have it on April 18th and 19th. It brings in about 400 visitors from out of town. It's really popular. So if any Seward teams want to sign up, it's $250 a team, also at SewardParksandRecreation.com. Also have really cool swag for that and great design. Thank you to Tony's Bar for being the title sponsor, and also want to give a shout out to Exit Marine for sponsoring one of the courts, and we're still looking for a couple more sponsors to help pay for all the expenses related to that. And yep, that covers everything that I wanted to talk about, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Andrew Scrivo.
Hey everybody, Andrew Scrivo, I live inside the city limits. Mayor and council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I serve as the Youth 360 Director with the Sewer Prevention Coalition, and I'm here in support of Resolution 2026-17, renewing the city's contract with the Sewer Chamber of Commerce. In Youth 360, we use the Icelandic prevention model, which is built on a simple, powerful idea that the best way to prevent youth substance use and support mental health is to strengthen the environment kids grow up in. We work to increase protective factors like connectedness, family engagement, positive peer culture, and meaningful community involvement. In other words, we help build a town where young people feel known, supported, and included, and where families feel plugged in instead of isolated. That's why the Chamber matters to prevention. The Chamber is one of these key connective tissues in Seward. They create a shared bulletin board that helps residents and visitors know what's happening, where to go, and how to participate. When families can find events, activities, and local opportunities, they are more likely to show up. And when people show up, they form relationships, and when relationships grow, our community becomes more resilient and safer for kids. Seward.com and the Visitor Center aren't just tourism tools, they're access points to connection. They make it easier for families to discover what's available, for neighbors to support local businesses and local events, and for newcomers to quickly feel like they belong. This sense of belonging is not extra, it's a protective factor. The Chamber is also a practical partner in the things that give young people positive, structured opportunities and a sense of pride in where they live. Their calendar, communications, and promotions help events succeed, and events are where connection happens. Signature community events like Mount Marathon, Shop Small, First Friday Art Walks, etc. don't happen by chance, and they require coordination, planning, permits, promotion, and volunteer recruitment. Renewing this contract is a practical investment in the connectedness, community vitality, and the protective factors we know that reduce risk and improve outcomes for young people. I urge you to continue this partnership and renew the city's contract with the Seward Chamber of Commerce. Also, if I may, I want to support Councilman Calhoun's draft ordinance updating marijuana regulations in Title VIII. The proposed guardrails are practical, prevention-minded steps that help our community keep youth at the center of the conversation. Limiting cannabis licenses based on population prevents oversaturation and reduces the everyday it's everywhere effect that can normalize use for young people. Prohibiting drive-thrus is another common sense boundary that discourages convenience-based access and reinforces that cannabis is not a fast food product. And limiting on-site use to indoors only helps prevent public exposure and reduces secondhand impacts, visibility, and normalization in shared community spaces. I believe these provisions don't target responsible adults. They set clear, sensible boundaries that protect developing brains, supporting families, and keep our public spaces more youth-friendly. I urge the council to advance this ordinance. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Otto Nip.
Hello, council members. My name is Otto Nip. I live outside city limits. I am here to express my support of Resolution 2026-17 and to continue the agreement with the Seward Chamber of Commerce. This portion of the Chamber's funds is allocated to promote Seward as a destination year-round. This funding supports major events in Seward, including the Mount Marathon Race, the Silver Salmon Derby, and the Polar Bear Jump-Off Festival. These events often receive sponsorship, but they do still require significant funding and time and effort from the Chamber team to execute. The Chamber of Commerce is instrumental in promoting tourism and supporting local businesses, the heart and soul of our town. The heart is the tourists as they keep our economy running, and the local businesses are the soul, able to support us year-round. These efforts directly benefit our community from helping local businesses thrive, increasing job opportunities, and keeping Seward a vibrant destination for travelers. Importantly, these funds are generated by a bed tax, a visitor-related revenue source, ensuring that Seward citizens are not bearing the financial burden. Instead, visitors who benefit from the Chamber's work help sustain these essential services, allowing our community to enjoy the economic rewards without additional taxes or fees. I encourage the City Council to support this investment in our community's future by continuing this agreement. Supporting the Chamber of Commerce with these visitor-driven funds will ensure Seward remains a welcoming, prosperous, and dynamic city for years to come. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Bruce Jaffa.
Bruce Jaffa, outside city limits, mayor, council. I'll just say, 2-deck parking facility, get rid of that one. And I'd say due to the public concerns with the Chamber Resolution 2026-17, I support it to be tabled or at least modified. I remember when Cindy Clerk brought discussions of the renewal to PACAB, and we spent quite a bit of time reviewing where they're at, what they've done. They do a wonderful job. I'm totally in support of their activities, the continued activities, continued relationship with the city. I just think this departure to a 5-year contract needs a little bit more consideration. Okay. Sorry for this departure. It does have a little bit to do with local government, but a troubled world. When Timothy McVeigh bombed the Oklahoma Federal Building, it was a barbaric act against the federal bureaucracy. But when Al-Qaeda bombed the World Trade Center in '93 and at 9/11, it was an attack on the American culture. The plan had little to do with the destruction of a building. It was intended as a dagger to the heart of America, resulting in the division of common goals and values of these United States. We take these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. As a result of the seemingly surprise attack, our government chose to merge separate agencies to provide easier sharing of information. Even then, there was a concern of the consolidated power in the hands of agencies of government. It is not that the concept is troubling, but that the old maxim has been proven true. In 1887, Lord Acton wrote, and I paraphrase, "Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely." To protect our liberties, it may be time to dismantle the Department of Homeland Security and return to separate agencies charged with specific duties. Growth of state and local government should be held to minimum needs. This goal will provide for the best use of taxpayer and user dollars and place control closest to the citizens.
Thank you, Bruce. And this would be the 12th, Mr. Clerk.
Last on the list is John Weissel.
John, is he in the hall?
There he is.
There he is.
Hi, John Weisel, outside of city limits. I'm here to oppose the proposed increase of Chamber of Commerce contract from $300,000 to $400,000 per year plus for 5 years. And to be clear, I don't believe the city should be funding this contract at all. Claiming credit for Seward's tourism growth through this contract is like a fly riding on the back of a thoroughbred and taking credit for the win. The momentum exists with or without it. Seward does not need more marketing. We are already at or beyond capacity. Lodging is full, traffic is strained, residents feel the impact. Continuing digital outreach to bring in more visitors is not solving a problem the community needs. We should be careful not to follow the path of places like Skagway, which has effectively become a cruise ship terminal town. That is not the future many Seward residents want for Seward. Other Alaska communities like Ketchikan and Sitka have reduced chamber advertising because the return on investment no longer made sense. Tourism is today driven by search engines, booking platforms, and private operators, not city-funded marketing. On the cruise side, Royal Caribbean is investing $189 million into its own terminal. They market, manage, and deliver their passengers themselves. The city does not need to subsidize that effort with a visitor station. I also have concerns about the operational model being funded, including year-round staffing all winter long, Monday through Friday during the winter, while the visitors that visit are not able to see someone on the weekends. They're consistently closed. I also don't believe taxpayers need to be funding a $50,000 website. Finally, funding an organization because it supports a few jobs is not fiscally responsible. City contracts should exist for measurable public benefit, not to preserve positions. Some other comments some people asked me to mention is that we're in the middle of a budget and retroactively trying to increase this, also constraining us to a 5-year contract. is another reason why I don't think it should go forward. I believe that if we need to rewrite what we're asking the chamber to do for us, should be done. But in all of the support that I've heard, I really have never heard a measurable success of what we're asking them to do for us. We're asking them to do something for us, and they are saying this is what it costs. Well, maybe we need to ask something different from them so that they can provide us a different service. I'd also like to know how many visitors come to Seward. They should know that. Thank you.
Okay, that was all that signed up, right? Is there anyone else in here that would like to speak? We've got time. Go ahead, Tom, and then we'll get you, and then we'll ask out in the hall, okay?
My name's Tom Reese. I live outside the city limits. Over 20 years ago, one of my sons met and eventually married a lady from Mexico. They got married in Mexico because she wanted to be married in her hometown. She still had a visa, so they were able to come back to the United States, but she could not stay here legally. Also, the marriage was not recognized in the United States, so they remarried in another ceremony here. Then they went through the process of her coming here legally, and I sponsored her, signed a document saying that I would be legally liable for her, so the government would never financially incur any debt because of her. Today, it's altogether different, it seems. People come here secretly, and then they feel like they should be provided for by our government. And next week, it seems there's going to be a meeting in the library about how to help those people stay here. And when you come here illegally, the way to fix that is not to block the law enforcement people trying to do what they've been instructed to do. The thing to do is go to your government and change the rules. There are ways to come here legally, and I've helped support financially other people come here. And so there are avenues to get here legally. People need to choose those and not choose to get in the way of people doing their lawful duties to those who choose not to be here legally. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And
And Mayor McClure, just so you know, that was the 36 minutes.
we're up to 36? Okay. There's one, can I ask how many people in the hall want to speak? Can we get a, none? Okay, could we agree to allow one more speaker within that time? Okay, come on up, Micah. That won't hurt us. Thank you.
Thank you. Micah Muskirk, I live inside city limits. I have been a chamber member for almost 30 years, and I was on the board for many, many years, decades ago. I think this contract is an opportunity because as a business that does not rely on tourism, and yet a big supporter of our chamber, I have always looked for that economic development piece. And I think that third leg of this contract is really important, and I think the fact that it comes up every few years is also really important because it's easy for a chamber to get distracted with the tourism side that is very intense. So I sometimes appreciate these conversations that happen when the contract renews. So I think a 3-year contract would be better. I also think it's an opportunity because we're in the scope of work, we could add a little bit of detail under the economic development section. Seward Education Advocates has been brainstorming a lot of ways as budgets are cut and we have less and less staff at our schools, ways that our community can integrate with our students and our schools and make our education in Seward very vibrant. We've had to let go of the student support liaisons, which that used to make business partnerships and try to create internships and things like that. That's something that possibly the chamber could could do more of helping support career days, job shadowing and internships, like building those business partnerships, creating, it's workforce development, because these kids are hungry for things to do, and they have housing, so they are in town, and they can, if we can grow them to build businesses and to work for the businesses in town, that's a win-win for our whole community. And at Kenai Chamber and Soldotna Chambers work really closely with their schools to do this sort of thing. So I think it's an opportunity to add a few more bullet points under that to help give our kids more enrichment, and so they can see what happens within our community. I'm looking forward to more luncheons, because as a business owner, that was always a really great opportunity to get together, and I hear they're going to be starting back up. And then listening to the work session earlier, that collaboration between the Port and Commerce and the Chamber of Commerce, I think we could really build more economic development if they partnered together. And okay, thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for your comments. We'll move along now to the approval of the agenda and the consent agenda, and I'd ask for a motion to approve in a second, please.
I move for approval.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Don't all speak at once. It's been moved and seconded. Are there, they're all taken off. Now, they got their picture with me, so. Are there any changes that people would like to make? I have one. I would like to add under new business, other new business, number 2, the appointment of Darian Draper to PACAB. I'd like to add that to the consent agenda, if I don't have any objections. Okay. Are there any other changes? And that would mean he would be approved. Okay, Mr. Clerk, I guess we're ready to vote.
Voting on the approval of tonight's agenda and consent agenda. Osenga?
Yes.
Barnwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
Draper?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure.
Yes.
Your agenda and consent agenda have been approved, and on the consent agenda were the January 26, 2026 City Council meeting minutes, the introduction of Ordinance 2026-002, amending Seward City Code 15.10.215 parking and associated parking references within Title 15, Resolution 2026-118, authorizing the city manager to purchase a 2026 Ford F-350 crew cab plus accessories for the Public Works Department in an amount not to exceed $71,690.19. Resolution 2026-019, authorizing the city manager to accept the quote with SHI for the renewal of Sophos MDR complete cybersecurity subscriptions for the IT department in the amount of $48,885.90. There are no grounds for protest to the renewal of the AMCO liquor license for the restaurant endorsement for the Flamingo Cocktail Lounge. And lastly, to appoint Darian Draper to PACAB with a term set to expire July 2028.
Okay, thank you. So those items have been approved by virtue of that, so. Next we have, city manager report.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Two things I'd like to note tonight. One, in the city manager report in the packet, you'll see under the Parks and Rec Department that there was a mention of working on some materials for a dog park. And so I wanted to kind of update the city council that we've been laying out an area for a small dog park in the Forest Acre campground area, like by the playground down there. That would include just a small fenced area. We won't have to bring in any fill or cut down any trees. We're working with the natural landscape around there, and the fire department and the volunteers are creating a cool hydrant for the dog park area, and so we're really excited about this. It seems to be a really good fit for that spot, and helps to provide a long sought after resource for our community, a place where dogs can run off leash in a fenced area and kind of bring some more vibrancy to that spot. Looking forward, Mel and her team at Parks and Rec are also going to bring some new playground equipment down there and create some walking paths so it becomes a well-encompassed, nice area for people to enjoy with their dogs, or without. And it's very close to the animal shelter, which is also really cool for us as well. Another thing I'd like to highlight is that the Frederick Mann, the Coast Guard ship that will eventually be landing in Seward, is having its commissioning ceremony in Kodiak this week? On Friday. And I say that with a question because I won't be attending, but Harbor Master Tony will be flying down Thursday night for that commissioning ceremony, and we're really excited to have a report from him about how that goes and to eventually see that ship come up to Seward. So we're really excited about that, and I am open for questions on anything else if you have any.
Okay, questions for the city manager? Comments? Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess we'll move on to the city clerk report on page 68, and you have a notice in there about, you want to speak to it?
Yes, thank you, Mayor McClure. Our clerk report is a one-page flyer for the student exchange program with Obihiro, Japan, and I will actually turn this over to Deputy City Clerk Jody to explain a little more.
Okay, so every year, our students in the high school have an opportunity to do an exchange program with the Obihiro students in Japan, and we have the applications that are going to be going out soon, but this is the flyer for it, and the date is not exact, but because their school session is a lot different than ours, and so they have to move their dates, and we have to wait for them to settle on their dates first before we make ours permanent. But they send their students over here the week before we travel to Japan, and the tentative dates are August 7th through the 19th of this year, and it's for the current 25-26 school year of the freshmen, sophomore, and juniors. So next year, they'll all be going into the next year when they go travel to Japan. And we go over there and is to learn about the culture of Japan and the Obihiro Shrine, the Higan Festival, the Oban Dance. They get to go see a horse racing, their kind of horse racing, definitely different than ours. And just to kind of experience their culture, and then the week before their students come over here. It is a little shorter process for us, an easier process, however, because we only have one high school to choose from. They have 4 high schools to choose from for 4 students. So we have a total of 4 students that can attend, and we look for the applications to be due by Friday, April 3rd.
So what happens if you get more than 4?
We do have interviews, and we interview all the students that apply, and then we meet together and discuss which ones were the best fit and the best qualified ones. And if the ones that don't get chosen, we definitely encourage them to reapply the next year.
Okay, just curious. This program's been going on since, do you remember the date?
1760. No,
1767 or
1973, I think.
Yeah, it was not so long after I graduated. I never got a chance.
It was 73 for the students.
But he could have gone. Anyway, thank you for that. Questions for the clerk?
I think Chief Tyner went on one. Wait.
Such a kid.
I was going to ask what year you went.
83.
What grade were you in?
So young. Okay, thank you very much. And city attorney report you'll find on page 69. He's not here tonight, but if you want to read it, it is there. We can't ask questions because he's not here. So that takes us to actual new business. And are we okay without a break at this point? Apparently, okay. So we come to Resolution 2026-016. Mr. Clerk, could you please read that in for the record?
Resolution 2026-016, authorizing the city manager to purchase a Ford Transit van for the electric department to replace the existing mobile equipment shop vehicle in the amount of $79,995 and appropriating funds.
Okay, and you'll find that on page 71. I'd ask for a motion to approve and a second, please.
I'll move for the approval of Resolution 2026-016.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Administration, what you got?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will invite Taylor Crocker to come up and speak to this, but one thing I would like to point out is that there was a small error in the fund balance allocation on this. We are allocating funds from the electric department for this, not the motor pool fund. And so we checked the wrong box there, and just wanted to clarify that before I invited Taylor to come speak to this.
Taylor.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, the hallway is the place to be. It's much cooler out there. But anyway, you guys see the picture of what we're replacing in your packet? Okay, I feel like I can just do a mic drop after the picture. Yeah, it's like 1980s, you know, ambulance and/or rescue van that probably came from the fire department at the time. But in the back of that van, we have a 250-gallon diesel tank, a welder, air compressor, and just enough tools to rebuild a hydroelectric plant. And so it's basically our mobile maintenance shop. And so a lot of times what we'll do is, the operators will do, they drive this out to the site where we have an excavator or a dozer, and they'll do the oil change, they'll grease the whole thing, weld some grousers on it, and it's just kind of like the one-stop shop van. Unfortunately, the steering wheel has like 15 degrees of play, and the seat belts are like the original ones. No airbags, and it feels like it's going to fall apart under you when you're driving it down the road. So we've spec'd out this new version. I think it still needs to be called Redbird, because I was like, what is Redbird? And anyway, found that out. But so the new van will be like the same as the old van. The same equipment that's in the old van will be inside the new van, just so it'll be safer to drive around. And then it's also got all-wheel drive, so if we need to get it up to the reservoir or something, we can, access that point. But we spec'd it out with just, the safety features on new vehicles, like the parking sensors or the, backing sensors and the backup camera and all that kind of stuff that comes with new vehicles these days. Any questions?
Questions for Taylor?
What happens to the old one?
It'll go to auction, so I mean, there's probably about 15 people in the community that are just waiting for it.
It's kind of historical, right?
Well, if it was really from '86, that's the same year I was born, so I might end up buying it.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, ready to vote? I think we're ready, Mr. Clerk.
Voting on the approval of Resolution 2026-016. Barnwell?
Yes.
Draper?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure.
Yes.
That resolution has been approved.
Okay, and we only have one other big item, Resolution 2026-017. Mr. Clerk, if you would please read that.
Resolution 2026-017, authorizing the city manager to enter into a 5-year agreement from January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2030 with the Seward Chamber of Commerce for the provision of visitor services and economic development activities in the amount of $400,000 annually with a CPI increase each year and appropriating funds.
Okay, and you'll find that, I'm trying to find it, on page 96 of the packet. I'd ask for a motion to approve in a second, please.
I'd like to motion for Resolution 2026-017.
In a second?
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In front of you tonight is the result of our discussion item of the last council meeting, where we were instructed to bring back a resolution that would continue the Seward Chamber of Commerce contract. The contract presented by the chamber at the previous meeting was for a 5-year contract at $400,000 with a CPI. Over the past 2 weeks, there were some things added to that contract from our attorney. Specifically, I wanted to make note of something. Section 13 and 14 and 15, those are the ones that we have in all of our contracts, but they are in this one, an agreement that The agreement may be terminated by either party serving upon the other 90 days prior written notice, liability, and insurance. So those are the major changes on our end that were implemented in this contract in that 2-week interim period since our last discussion item. And then also, as the discussion moves forward tonight, there are a few items listed at the end of the background and justification of clarifying further. One would be detailing what that CPI 5-year average would be if it's included, and then the other one is just discussing continuation of the bed tax revenue and if and when there was a circumstance where that CPI increase outweighed the bed tax revenue. So just 2 items to add to what to the discussion tonight as the conversation moves forward.
Okay. Questions, comments, adjustments? I would ask, just for clarification for people, where does the funding of this projected 400,000, where does the money come from?
So the money used to fund this is the bed tax revenue.
Right.
So previously, historically, the Chamber of Commerce was set up on a schedule of receiving half of the prior year's bed tax revenue. In about 2021, that was changed to 300,000 of a flat rate of 300,000 per year.
Okay. And then, subsequent question to that. Does the bed tax apply to, or is it levied on establishments outside the city limits, or is it strictly within the city limits?
The bed taxes can only be levied and is only levied on establishments within city limits.
There's some question about that amongst the public, so I just wanted that up front right now. Council, any? Yes, Councilmember Warner. I'll start with you and we can work down.
Thank you, Madam Mayor McClure. Just to add on to the point that the city manager had made about if it does go over the 50% for the bed tax or over with the CPI increase, where could we potentially look at using other funds? And my curiosity is, would we be able to use any of the head tax that comes through the cruise ship with the increasement and visitors to our community, and with the Chamber continuing to provide those visitor services? Could that be a source?
Boy. There's strict guidelines, but it has to apply to the cruise, somehow help the cruise.
Yeah, so we would be able to use it for that, yes.
Interesting. Yes, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think my concerns are with what was brought up with the CPI and the 5-year contract. So I would just ask with the CPI, how do we normally do that? I mean, is that something that's standard in contracts that we have before this contract? And if that's true, how are we figuring out the CPI and those other contracts?
Yeah, so we don't have a standard, which is probably why it's come up as a discussion. If you look at something like our harbor passenger fees, that takes into account a 5-year average of the CPIs. So it'll be the CPI for 2020 through 2025, the average of that. And that's to help avoid those large spikes of sorry, my spike went too high. To avoid those large spikes of an overwhelming CPI year where it may increase by, say, 12% if inflation is particularly high, so we can average it out with that over time. Other instances, we just use the Anchorage business CPI rate and utilize it that way. So I think for the more consistent and stable, a recommendation would be to use that 5-year average or to clarify within Anchorage CPI of the year prior.
So within the contract now, is it a 5-year average, or is it just, what do we have in there? Can you look real quick, because I don't want to look.
Yeah, so in the contract currently, it's, I'm looking for it in the contract.
Just 20.7%.
Oh.
So is that 2.7?
So it says with the Anchorage Consumer Price Index for all consumers, so it doesn't have a clarification of which one of those models to use in the general area.
So if we wanted to modify this, you could make a motion to that effect? correct? I mean, we could do some tweaking
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, so it would either be a modification to the prior years or to the average 5 years, if that makes sense.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just a question, so this isn't saying 2.7% for each of these 5 years?
No, it is not.
It's just saying 2.7% for this first year?
So for the first year, there would be it would be a base of 400,000.
Oh, I'm sorry,
And then-
thank you. Yeah,
So the
I saw that.
clarification would be, in the future years, what is that CPI increase for? So if we got to year 2, is that CPI based off of a 5-year average, the previous year's average, or what is that marker? So we'll need to clarify that. But it could be clarified through an amendment.
Well, I would like to make an amendment to change it from, I think we're basing it off of Anchorage, to a 5-year average of CPI.
Is there a second for that?
I'd like to second that motion.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion about that? I personally think it's good to have it clarified. Councilmember Barnwell.
I guess I'm still not clear. Does that mean that it goes up per year via the Consumer Price Index?
Via an average of the previous
Right.
5 years Consumer Price Index.
So it's just generally around 3%. So we're talking about increasing this contract by 3% per year.
Potentially, yes,
Yeah.
depending on what the average of the Consumer Price Index is. And we wrote out an example. There's a lot of pages.
It's on page
Yeah.
97.
Yeah, so
We
it's,
can use that same language
Mhm.
that we use within the tariff. That's what we use to increase CPI across the city
Mhm.
every year.
so for our tariffs that we just recently brought in, that's how we utilize that CPI increase of doing the previous 5-year.
If we don't put that within the contract, it would just be how it is each year. So this is why, Councilmember
I
Barnwell.
would like to broach the subject. I'm actually pretty good with the amount at this point. I would,
What we're speaking to,
oh, sorry,
The-
the amendment.
yeah, just to
I'm
the
good with
amendment
Yep.
at this point. Okay, are we ready to vote on the amendment? Mr.
Can I
Clerk, we need-
clarify
yeah.
one thing first? So does this pertain to the agenda statement on page 97, or does it appear throughout the contract as well?
Well, that's good.
Well, that's a really good question.
It appears in the contract, so if you do the amendment to do that, we can address it throughout the contract and the agenda statement.
Okay. Would you please read the amendment?
Yeah, Vice Mayor Osenga, could you please repeat your motion? Just to make sure we're all on the same page.
No. I'm like, I came over at once. I think what we were doing was we were going to amend the contract to state that we would use a 5-year average, previous 5-year average to set our CPI for this contract.
And ready to vote on that amendment?
Yes, I see nods.
This is just for the amendment. Draper?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Barnwell?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure?
Yes.
So the amendment has passed and the main motion as amended is back on the floor.
Okay, and Councilmember Barnwell, you had something.
Yeah, I would just like us to discuss the idea of perhaps, instead of a 5-year contract, knocking it down to a 3-year contract, so that puts us through this contract into the next one, I think, right?
If you...
We do a 2-year contract on the budget.
Yeah, so if you did a 3-year contract, the next time the contract would be up would be right when we're doing the discussions for our next budget cycle, so 20... Yeah, 32? No, not that far.
We're doing 27, 28?
29, 30.
29, 30.
Yeah, so it would, whoa.
If we...
So if this was amended to be a 3-year contract, that discussion could be in alignment with the budget discussions and for the FY29, FY30 budget discussions.
Do you want to make that a motion and then we can talk about it?
Yes, I'll make it a motion. I would like
Say it.
I would like.
I move that-
to make a motion that we amend this to a 3-year contract.
Is there a
Instead
second?
of a 5-year
Well,
contract.
Is there a second? And it's been seconded. Now you can talk about it.
Okay. The reason for that, As someone mentioned earlier in a discussion this evening, that it helps for us to make sure we're holding everybody accountable between the chamber and between us, and making sure our relationship is firm and our expectations, and things are really dynamic right now. So I just feel like a 3-year contract would be a little tighter, would improve it for all of us. Yeah.
I had that written down as a possible option, so anyone else want to speak to it?
Yes, mine's
Councilmember
fairly
Draper.
long, apologize in advance.
Your what, I'm sorry?
Mine's fairly long, I apologize. Oh, my.
Well, this is
Is this about
speaking
the
to the
3-year?
amendment.
Oh, the amendment, sorry. And I have to wait
The
again.
amendment would be to amend from a 5-year contract to a 3-year contract. I'm all for that. Anybody else want to speak to it? Ready to vote on?
Oh, I was gonna say, that was one of my concerns, was a 5 years, and I'm more apt to a 3-year for sure.
Ready to vote? Okay, Mr. Clerk?
So this vote will just be for the amendment to move it from a 5-year contract to a 3-year contract. Warner?
Yes?
Barnwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
Draper?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure?
Yes.
So that amendment has passed, and the main motion with 2 amendments is back on the floor.
Okay, Councilmember Draper. Now, your long thing, whatever.
There just were so many comments that were received, I felt like I wanted to address them. And so we received them in writing and text and phone calls, I know that I did, both in favor and against, and some were just asking questions. And we also got some strange emails that purported to be from groups of people that I couldn't find to exist. So I wanted to point that out. I don't know if other council members got those as well. And I wanted to make sure that I was open-minded about listening to all the comments, and so there's a publication that I read every day called Tangle, and what it does, it says what the right is saying, what the left is saying, and then my take after there's a bunch of research. So I did that. So just kind of summarize it here, what people in favor of the contract are saying is the chamber provides a vital function, managing visitors that arrive, reducing impacts on other areas of the city. The chamber online presence is great. When you look up Seward online, it's the first thing you see. Provides a comprehensive view of what's offered in Seward for visitors and people looking to relocate. Our visitor guide and our hometown guide are very well done and necessary. The staff is new, but they're learning, and we have confidence that they're listening and will improve what the chamber provides. What the antis were saying. Print guides are obsolete and could be eliminated altogether. Businesses market themselves online. They don't need to be marketed in conjunction with other businesses. Chamber membership is down significantly. Many, if not most, expressed concerns about membership issues and actual hurts that had happened to them from actions of the chamber that were not included in the contract. Some wanted metrics added to measure effectiveness. Some say the chamber is not driving growth in the tourism industry. Some say we don't need more growth in tourism, Seward sells itself. And some say the money would be better utilized on other things in the community. And some said the functions provided in the contract could be absorbed into the existing Parks and Rec Department or other areas of the city. Many wanted to see their other revenue sources. One said they lived with $300,000 last year, and the only reason they're looking at this $400,000 is because they looked at the bed tax. And one other person said other visitor centers in Alaska are closing permanently. So those are kind of a synopsis of all of the different things that I heard. So here's my take. Membership issues are irrelevant to this discussion. This is a contract for services that are lined out. I urge people, whether they are members or not, to express their membership issues to the chamber board. Stephanie said earlier, they're welcome to hearing from members and non-members. Requests for the results of the events they oversee, fish restoration, and membership makeup. The money that supports this resolution comes from overnight visitors, not from citizens. The main source of support for visitor centers in our state and nationally are bed taxes. The bed tax was first envisioned as a means to support the chamber's visitor functions and destination marketing. The fact that the amount of money has grown is appropriate because so have the number of visitors, and that's why tying the amount to a percentage of the bed tax made sense, because as the industry grew, so did the supporting funds. Tourism might be our biggest industry in Seward, and like it or not, and I think that we ignore it at our peril.
Public sentiment via the comprehensive plan survey is that the public wants less focus on tourism and more emphasis on what we can do for year-round residents. Having city employees perform functions of the chamber, to me this insults both the work of the chamber staff and the city staff, saying neither is doing enough, and I don't believe that's true. Plus, I can't imagine having city employees doing the work would reduce the costs. My research shows that it's almost unheard of for a tourist town to not have a visitor center, and could not find reports of Alaska visitor centers closing either. Some are seasonal only. The sheer number of guides given out proves that visitor guides are not obsolete, and the number of visitors stopping at the visitor center proves that visitor centers are not obsolete. So we don't ask our other contractors that we hire for services to provide their financial statements or tell us where their other income comes from. Our bed tax is the lowest in the state, along with Soldotna's at 4%. Some communities as high as 12%. I scratched it out because we already did it. I said I thought 5 years was too long and that maybe we should reduce it to 3, so that's accomplished. I also think the chamber would do itself a favor by focusing more on local issues, hosting meetings on housing, education, things like that, and I think that's kind of maybe already in the works. People seem to have a real hard time with the separation of the membership area of the chamber with the city contract for services. Perhaps a chamber membership meeting could focus on the differences and discuss those kind of things. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay, so those were all comments and not a...
No, my take was the last part. My take was that, I'm in favor of this and refuting some of the things that were...
No, we've heard a lot.
Yeah.
Who else? Councilmember Werner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor McClure. I do just want to echo a little bit of what Councilmember Draper had said. There were some very odd emails that kind of came through that seemed like maybe they were AI generated or, I don't know, fake email accounts with no identifiable citizen or local business. I don't know. I just wanted to share that and echo that because I also thought that was very odd.
Yeah, I agree a lot with what Councilmember Draper said. Just a lot of the same comments that people that I talked to. Definitely like the idea of the contract being a 3-year versus a 5-year. And I like Micah's suggestion about the workforce development and the high school students. I think that would be something great for the chamber to start focusing on. The other thing that I heard from several people that I talked to was looking into, the possibility of the city having a grant writer to kind of help with some of this funding. And, I know that it's coming from the bed tax, but I also think that we need to look at some of that. The visitors are coming here and you're bringing them here, but then we don't want to forget about the infrastructure that's here and making sure that we have that to support the visitors that are coming here too. So, yeah.
Related to that sparked something else. When I asked how is this paid for, it's from the bed tax, but what happens to the beyond, say if we do pass this at 400,000 and the bed tax is coming in about double that, so what happens to the other part?
It's in the general fund throughout the services that are utilized with focusing on infrastructure and things throughout, so it's
we
general
are
fund
contributing,
taxes.
the bed tax is contributing beyond to the chamber. It's contributing more specifically to infrastructure related, as I understand it, which makes a big difference in my mind about this. Councilmember Barnwell.
Yeah, I just want to go on the record saying that my conversations with Stephanie, Amanda, and Liz, I think that we're in really competent hands with them. And I don't think they're overly fixated on increasing tourism. I think a lot of comments tonight kind of prove that people understand that. It's not just about visitors, and that if we're going to run a business as sewer.com is the first entry point for a lot of people that enter this town. Whether you're moving here, as Christiana said, or if you're a visitor, we need to have a good experience. They need to have a good experience. We want to do this right. And I have a lot of confidence in these guys. I think they've got a lot of vision and they're really bright. And I'm pretty excited about this. And I also want to go back to Greg, what Greg said, that there's a $2 per resident return. I'm not sure you could, that might be hard to figure out, but I wouldn't doubt it. I think that the chamber probably, return on investment's pretty high, so. And I'm just saying this because a year or 2 years ago, I would have actually agreed with John Weissel, and that maybe we don't need that, and I've come full circle on this, so, thanks.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard one because I had every intention, I might still have every intention of either reducing the amount or postponing for more discussion, but I don't know that there's a wish from council to do that. I think I'm hearing a lot of positive with these two amendments. Are we pretty okay with it? I mean, I'm not going to defy the odds here. And for the people, the knowledge that this comes from bed tax, which is paid for by the tourists, and so, anything else? I guess I'm not going to move to postpone. So, they sigh relief. Well, because we go through it again. I know, but I just want to make sure everyone's heard. And Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say that it's a 3-year contract. I mean, this isn't the end of the world. We can come up with something, we can make amendments before we do another contract. We can come up with, if we find that things aren't working exactly the way we thought they were going to be, then we can change this.
Right.
So this isn't, this 3-year, and I think 3 years was a much better grab than the 5-year reach, so.
And my other concern, just backlogging a little bit, was I was told on Friday that there were some amendments that had to be made that the attorney hadn't vetted yet, and that had happened, and it's within the contract. I was told wrong, I guess. So that changed I've just tonight changed my whole game plan here. So, wow. Any other input, or do we want to vote on this thing as amended? They're not saying a word, so I guess we're ready, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, this will be the final vote for the approval of the resolution as amended. Warner?
Yes?
Draper?
Yes.
Barnwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure.
Yes.
That resolution has been approved.
Okay, as amended. All right. We have one other item to deal with tonight, and it's to in other new business, discuss the draft ordinance for marijuana regulations in Title 8. And this is not the one that came from, it has not come yet from Planning and Zoning. This was from Council Member Calhoun, who cannot be here because he's out of state. So what I'd like to do before we even discuss it is just suggest that we postpone it until next meeting when he's here and he can present it in his own words. Do we need to vote on that, or can we just nod?
Being a discussion item, I think it's okay to just nod.
Okay, does anybody object to postponing this outright until the next meeting when Councilmember Calhoun is here? Okay, so let's do that, because it's not fair to take his words and try to make something of it. And then, let me just ask, in reference to the planning and zoning, well, you probably don't know, but they're supposed to be working with the planning department to come up with the final version of their marijuana ordinance.
Yeah, and then they'll vote on that to bring to council.
Okay, so that will be coming, just for those of you keeping track. It's not that we've dropped anything. We just, since this came from Councilmember Calhoun, we just have to hear from him.
I'd also like to add, I think I'll take some responsibility for this as well. It was my understanding that in a discussion item, you could tell the administration to do something, but there's a specific nuance you'll notice there in SSC 2.15 that no ordinance shall be prepared unless the majority vote of the council. So you can't do a discussion item, it has to be a full vote for an ordinance. So I will apologize there and brush up on my code for future discussion items.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it will be at the next meeting a discussion item.
A discussion item and a vote, I believe, right?
Okay,
sorry.
Please,
now I feel like
educate
I'm
us.
confusing even more, I apologize.
No, Kat was totally correct about that with the majority vote required. So we're going to start with the discussion item, maybe get the terms more dialed in to how the final project is going to look, and then council would vote to proceed with that ordinance, and then it would come back the next meeting as the introduction to ordinance.
As the usual
and you'd
deal.
see it in code.
And to clarify, the issue wasn't that it wasn't a discussion item, it was that it was in a work session, and we
session.
can't take action in a work session.
Okay.
Sorry, I made 2 mistakes, I'm sorry.
You are forgiven.
Thank you.
Okay, the other item in new business was the appointment of Darian Draper, so I think he took off, but we really appreciate him being on PACAB, and he sat through the work session, so he now knows what to expect. So that's all we have. Our next meeting will be February 23rd, and we're now down to citizen comments, or up to citizen comments. This is the 5-minute period, and there's no sign-up, so any citizens that are still here that want to speak, you can come up. And then, see, we've got the whole evening ahead of us. No, I shouldn't say that.
Amanda Sweeting, outside city limits, Executive Director, Chamber of Commerce. Hi, I just want to say I'm super excited for the continuation of our partnership, and just remind everyone that there is quarterly reporting and collaboration sessions, so we can realign goals as we go. And I also agree about the high school and education and workforce. I guess we used to do that pre-COVID, and so I'm really excited to start that again. I did spend all my weekend hours building this discussion packet for you guys, but I wanted to hand them out to City Clerk, if that's okay, just because it's really interesting. You guys have talked about what other DMO contracts and Chamber of Commerce's are. No one has gone out of business, and so I think myself digging through like other towns' budgets and watching work sessions and city council meetings, it was super interesting, and it really got me informed. So I'd like to share that with you guys, just so you can be informed and understand the full extent of your DMO contract. And then also there is some like markers of the DMO contract success, DMO destination marketing, sorry. And on the back page was some tax information and bed tax information and some visitation numbers that I thought you guys might find interesting, because we love information and data. And then I just want to say, I know tonight has been a lot about destination marketing and visitation services, and we're talking a lot about it because that's what this contract is about. But I do see tourism and visitation as a tool for the community, not as our main purpose. And so even though we're chatting a lot about it tonight, it's because it pertains to the contract, and it's not the full focus of the chamber and the staff, and even the way we use this DMO contract. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Who else would like to speak? Nobody? Okay, Bruce.
Way down from Amanda.
Bruce Schaff, outside the city limits. I think your consideration of the chamber was actually appropriate. I think the chamber does a great job. I would remind council that the chamber does give a report to PACAB, has traditionally given a regular report, and we look forward to that at PACAB, along with the railroad report. I think what I've gathered is that we need to do a little bit better reporting to council. As we learn stuff, we can get that information to you. The minutes, of course, record this, but that doesn't tell the whole story. And I realize it's not an easy way sometimes of gathering information. And when I put together the synopsis earlier, I realized that, bullet points or short lessons. Beyond that, I have a shout out to the Kenai, Cindy Eklund with the Kenai Peninsula Borough as an assembly member. I think you miss an agenda item regularly, and should ask Cindy to report more on what the borough activities. I know she's short-lived over there, but she busts her butt traveling and doing the job. So she really deserves a little bit more recognition. So with a little bit of time, I'm going to get into a little more politics here. Concerns of a population of free men and women. It has never been more important, and this has to do with something that's happening in your backyard. Bear Creek, and I'll come to that in a minute, is working on developing a representative government for their area. It has never been more important that all citizens' rights be honored. As an elected government, the views of all impacted residents must be respected. Much criticism by local citizens expressing their view as emerged online debate. And frankly, these robot things and AI and anonymous things, I discount them. I see them all the time, I ignore them. If you can't put your name on it, it's not a valid view, and I recommend you ignore them too. My views are conservative, in that I ask and expect government to take a minimal role in our lives, and I support the right for anyone to express their views. The majority view should rule, let us hope. While our local, state, and national interests recognize the independent views, the mechanism of government is intended to facilitate debate and consensus. Soliciting diverse and sometimes contrary views is of critical importance. This forum and the City of Seward have for many decades provided a model of this goal, and it cannot continue, though it cannot continue without thought and effort by all participants. Many residents in the East Peninsula have felt neglected at the borough level. Seward's neighbor Bear Creek is in the process of forming a governing body to speak for their interests. As an economic zone, Seward must continue, as they always have done, to extend an open and welcome opportunity for the needs and opinions of its East Peninsula neighbors.
Thank you, Chris. Anyone else? Christiana, could you just see if anyone's out in the hall that they may not have heard? Okay, so, no one else? Okay, I'll bring it back to the council and administration for comments and responses, and we've got one administration person here, so go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No comment at this time. I appreciate everybody bearing with me. I was on leave for a week and a half and then immediately got sick, so it was an abrupt return to reality, so thank you for dealing with any of my brain farts tonight.
Councilmember Draper, I'll start with you.
Okay, I've got a few. I want to thank everybody for participating in this. You know, whatever their opinion was, it was really nice to see so much of the community weighing in on our agenda. I wanted to congratulate the electrical department for another great town hall meeting, which I watched. I was in Anchorage that day. Also wanted to say the Seward Cares event happened. It was very successful. I don't have any specific statistics from it. Christina's working on those. I mean, Sarah from Independent Living Center is working on those. What else? I wanted to point out, and I don't know if the public would know this, but we talked about doing a stay of applications for marijuana applications at the AMCO board, and found out that that's not a thing that exists. That is not a term they use, and another community had tried to put a moratorium on licenses for a year, and that's being fought, that's not something you can do either. So I wanted to just kind of put that out there on the record. I also, the last thing I wanted to say is several citizens have come forward with issues about what's happening at the federal government, what's happening at the national level, and I'm just torn about what's our role there, and I don't know what to say other than to acknowledge that things are being said, and I guess I don't know where to go with it.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Kreitz.
I think it was a great meeting. I really appreciated everyone's input. I know you got a lot of phone calls and emails, and I will say I was ready to actually ask for postponement tonight too, just based on some of the information, and I think the discussion that happened definitely helped with my decision tonight too, to kind of change that. And I will say, just for your sake, Amanda, like even the people that called that were against the contract, they had positive things to say about you. That goes to show that you are definitely making a big difference in the chamber and the perception, and I hope that you'll get to the ability to turn some of their, thoughts around and do some things for the people that have had negative things with the chamber. So I think that you're heading in the right direction.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Warner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor McClure. So just a couple of things. I want to thank the youth that came out and spoke during citizen comment. Your voices matter, and it's really important for you all to come and engage in the public process. So I just want to give a kudos out to the youth that spoke. I also want to give a shout out for Thursday, February 12th at the library. They're doing a digital literacy class. It's on parental controls. So I think that is very big for a lot of us. And then I also just want to remind everyone as we're coming through some of these discussions where we're hearing multiple voices on both sides of the coin, to remember to engage with everybody with kindness and take care of your neighbor. And we live in Seward because we love our community and we love the tight-knit community that is Seward. So just a little reminder for everybody to continue engaging in those conversations with kindness. I had mentioned it earlier at the work session, but KPED is asking for questions to put together their SEDS draft. The deadline for that is March 7th, so if you have anything to say about our local economy regionally or just for here in Seward, make sure you submit your comments and questions. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Barnwell.
Yeah, it was a great meeting. And I also really thank all the people that came to testify. It's both for the uplands earlier and then the chamber conversation. And actually the last 2 weeks ago with the marijuana conversation, they're just really engaging conversations. And I agree with Ms. Warner that we have to keep it civil, and it's just imperative as a democracy and as a small community in particular. I think in particular, I don't know, maybe it's we need to keep it civil. And I do appreciate Mr. Jaffa's comments on a bigger level of who we are as a democracy, and that we can't just ignore it. It's here, it's everywhere, and we have to. I think our part is to do a good job of being civil and thinking carefully and being respectful to all people, and that'll go a long way. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Well, pretty much everything that I was going to say has been said. I would say that I appreciate all the comments that we did get from all the different things that we did discuss tonight. Obviously, there are a couple different sides to everything, but that's just the normal way a discussion goes, and I think that should be welcomed. I do agree that the chamber is doing a good job. I think Andy, your whole team, you guys are all doing great. That was never a thought that you were doing anything wrong. Never a thought. I'm just glad that we were able to go through and have this discussion tonight about this contract, and then what little modifications we made, I think were not too over the top. So I think it went well. I think it was a good meeting, and just say thank you, everybody.
Okay. Well, I echo, of course, everything. One of my basic premises, there's two. One is that we sit up here sort of like role models, you know. I keep thinking about the kids, but we have to be on our best behavior, and I'm always trying to be. And part of that, then the second part is I think everybody is entitled to their opinion, and we have diverse opinions. So when people come up to speak, and it might not be the opinion of a person sitting up here, we listen and accept that as their right to speak. So as long as it's civil, and so far it's been, civil. So I've had some pretty irate phone calls. I live with this, and I answer every call, and I've got a new policy now that if the person does not give me their name, I might not listen, because I think it's important to at least for a person when in writing or to speaking, if they're calling me at 9 o'clock at night, I'd kind of like to know who it is. And so I'm just putting this out there. I do answer my calls, but from now on, it's going to be, especially if you're going to yell at me, it's going to be, and I was remiss in not asking that particular individual's name, so I don't know. But it's just a thing of civility, I think, and especially now in our country, we need to be civil, regardless of our opinion, wherever it is. I really am happy about the work session with PACAB. This is something Bruce and I have talked about, and we weren't sure which way it was going to go and how it would go, and it went wonderfully. And I said to him afterwards, we got to do this more often because we need to share these things. And I know, well, it happens. They're snacks. It's a good thing. So, but the people, I mean, it gives people a different format to speak from the audience too, and with a little less formalities. So I'm starting to like work sessions more and more, you guys. I'm just warning you. Valentine's Day's coming up, and I sort of say bah humbug to Valentine's Day, but if anybody wanted to give me a Valentine, it might be kind of and maybe I'll stop bah humbugging it. So, and with that,
A reminder that Build-A-Bouquet is February 13th.
but my cat eats flowers, so flowers are not a thing for me.
We have the signs that say which ones are cat-friendly and which ones are
It
not.
doesn't matter, he eats all flowers. And with that, I'll wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day and adjourn at 8:35.